everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to go over another story about the three Nephites. This is on the church website. It's in the Improvement era, which was kind of like a predecessor to the Ensign and then later the Liahona. This is January 1920, volume 23 of this magazine. Now, I want to apologize really quick for the previous video because I did not know that my microphone was not selected on the computer. For some reason that got all messed up. So the audio was bad on the last video about President Nelson and his birthday because it was going off of my computer's built-in microphone. So I'm sorry, but now I have it fixed. It's switched over. Okay, so if you're new, I've already done a number of videos about the three Nephites, different stories about them. In fact, let me pull up the channel. I should have had this ready. Wasn't thinking about this. By the way, make sure to subscribe to watch for the signs. This is additional watching for signs of the times on this channel. It's going to be for more of a general audience, okay? But Christian Homestead is for an LDS audience. I'm still going to do all the same stuff here. It's just I'm going to be doing more for a general audience on watch for the signs. Like I'm going to be picking up on some of the other things that I can't do on this channel because it would just flood this channel with videos. So make sure to subscribe there if you're interested. Okay, so if you go to playlists, created playlists, I'm going to show you. I have a playlist just for the three Nephites and John the Revelator. Let's see. Nephites. There it is. Three Nephites and John. That's the name of the playlist. And so far we've talked about the what seems to have been one of the Nephites in Tennessee that converted a bunch of people, and then they went to Colorado, and that's where they ended up as members of the church. We've talked about dreams, because it appears that the three Nephites and John can appear in dreams and in visions, and we have all these like Muslims that are having dreams. We've talked about the Messianic Jewish movement, where it seems like that may be influenced possibly by the three Nephites and or John. We've talked about Orson Pratt's story about how there were Native Americans that had dreams of three men, and then they traveled hundreds of miles to find the saints, and then they got baptized. And then we talked about the Seneca prophet, where he had a vision. And actually, I think at one part he was actually in the presence of them, of three men that were teaching him some very LDS things, very moral and LDS type things. So if you missed these videos, just go to this playlist. I'll put it in the description below. Now, this is the latest entry in my playlist. It's called Southern Sketches, and it's about this pillar, okay? This pillar right here. It's called the Pillar of Destiny. I'm going to show you what it looks like now, or its history, what's happened to it. Wait, I swear somewhere it said the Pillar of Destiny. Right here it's saying the Pillar of Prophecy. Okay, this is by Charles F. Steele. Southern Skies. Okay, let me zoom in just a little bit more. Okay, that's probably good right there. Okay. The predictions of the servants of the Lord never fail. Although at the time of their utterance, the fulfillment in the eyes of men may appear utterly impossible. This truth is attested by a silent witness which stands on the corner of Broad and 5th Streets of Augusta, Georgia. It is locally known as the Pillar of Prophecy. And again, here's a picture of it. I don't know when this photo was taken, but probably sometime in the 1920s. Okay, the Pillar of Prophecy has an interesting story. I just want to say also, it's interesting that if this is true, if this is one of the three Nephites, and if the Tennessee story was the three Nephites, which it probably was, it's interesting that they're operating in all these different parts of the United States, primarily in the South, actually. I have more stories that I'm going to go over, but so far it's been a lot like in the South. Okay, so okay, so let's move on. An interesting story is attached to this old landmark, and it is often called or recalled from the dusty recesses of memory to impress one with the fundamental truth that God lives and never forgets the utterances of his authorized servants. The Pillar of Prophecy is a white concrete shaft, perhaps 12 feet in height. It stands in the center of the sidewalk. The pavement have been laid around it, leaving the pillar undisturbed. This fact is very significant in that Broad Street is the principal thoroughfare of the city, and space is therefore valuable. The significance becomes plain when the story of the pillar is told. Okay, so this isn't in like a prominent location of Augusta, Georgia. In fact, uh, let's see, let's look it up. 5th and Broadway, Augusta, Georgia. Okay, I'm pulling it up. It's over here. I thought I saw. Okay, let's see. Well, let's look it up this way. Pillar of Destiny, of Prophecy. Sorry. Maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe it's not at all the Pillar of Destiny. When you look it up in Google Maps, it comes up as Haunted Pillar right here. Okay. So let's zoom out. Let's take a look at Augusta. This is downtown Augusta, right? You zoom out. So I wasn't really familiar with the geography of Augusta, but it's right here on the border with South Carolina. And this location is right basically downtown Augusta. So it is in a pretty prominent place, or at least it was, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay, it is a story that dates back more than 30 years when Augusta was first catching the glimpse of her present greatness, when she was undergoing the process of transition from a city of the Old South to one of the new. The incident known then to Augustans firsthand, the old timers handing it down to their posterity as a thing worth remembering. And now for the story. There appeared on the streets of Augusta about 30 years ago a stranger. He was a man of mystery. No one knew whence he came, nor whither he departed. He was a preacher who, like the prophets of old, cried repentance unto the city. He is described as a man of average height, with hair of pure white and neatly trimmed, stately in appearance, and possessing a voice clear and pleasing, yet incisive, even to the piercing of the human ear. It's interesting. I'll make note here because I think it was in the last the last video that person was described as having red hair. In all cases so far, from what I've seen, they always appear, like it says here, neatly trimmed, sharp. They're clean cut basically for the time. So it's interesting. But in this case, he has white hair. Okay, this unknown evangelist usually spoke in the marketplace. This was composed of two large sheds extending about 100 feet across the street. The street is 180 feet from curb to curb and about 200 feet long. The sheds were supported by pillars. Okay, so this pillar was part of this structure of the marketplace. Okay. One shed was known as the upper market, the other the lower market. Here, the people of the city gathered each morning to purchase their daily supply of produce from the farmers coming in from the surrounding country. A remarkable prophecy was then made by the preacher. He predicted that the lower market would be destroyed by a storm, but that the southwest corner post would remain as a testimony to the people that he was a prophet of God, and that that his warning message was true. He further solemnly averred that if anyone attempted to move the pillar, that person would die. So that is quite the thing to proclaim to this people, right? It'd be interesting to have been one of those people watching him and like, wow, either he's really crazy or this is the real thing, right? So let's go back to the map. I just want to look at that again. I have to do the search again. It said the southwest corner. Sorry if you can hear my son in the background. He's having a moment. Okay, right here. So this is the place right here. So yeah, that's southwest. So I guess the marketplace was probably something like this. Maybe. I don't know. And this is the southwest corner. Okay. Just wanted to see that. Um, okay, so if you try to move it, you're going to die. Shortly after the utterance of this strange prophecy, a devastating electrical storm swept over the city of Augusta, destroying the lower market, but leaving, as the prophet had said, the southwest pillar. The pillar of prophecy still stands at the time of this article. Just spoiler alert, okay? It's not there anymore, but I'm going to show you the story of that. The pillar of prophecy still stands as of 1920. No one has ventured to move it. Neither white nor colored exhibit any willingness to take the risk. The pillar also survived the fury of the Great Fire of 1916, which practically obliterated the business district of Augusta. The pillar escaped unscathed, although buildings around it are still lying in ruins. Well, yeah, because I guess that was just 4 years ago at the time that this was published. And this is interesting. 1916, when that happened. Okay, just keep that in mind. So there was like this big fire there in 1916. So just remember that date. Okay. The mysterious prophet was later entertained at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Mac Little of Groveland, Georgia, which is located about 15 miles west of Augusta. In conversation with Mr. Little, the prophet reiterated the direful prediction made on the streets of the city. The Little family still reside in Richmond County and vouch for the truth of the story. They testify that the stranger never divulged his identity and that he was never seen again. Who was this prophet? Old-time Augustans believe him to be John the Baptist or some other of the biblical prophets, but Latter-day Saints are of the belief that the stranger may have been one of the three Nephite apostles who were graciously permitted by Christ to tarry on the earth until he should return in glory. Said the risen Lord to the three apostles, discerning their desires, quote, "Behold, I know your thoughts, and ye have desired the thing which John, my beloved, who was with me in my ministry before that I was lifted up by the Jews, desired of me. Therefore, more blessed are ye, for ye shall never taste of death, but ye shall live to behold all the doings of the Father unto the children of men, even until all things shall be fulfilled, according to the will of the Father, when I shall come in my glory with the powers of heaven, and ye shall never endure the pains of death, but when I shall come in my glory, ye shall be changed in the twinkling of an eye from mortality to immortality, and then ye shall be blessed in the kingdom of my Father." These lucky ducks. I that would be so cool to do. So I'm happy for them. I'm not jealous. I'm happy for them. Okay, continuing. Additional testimony that this prophet may have been one of the three Nephite apostles was furnished by the writer of Patriarch David F. Fons of Raymond, Canada. Elder Fons fulfilled a mission in Georgia over 20 years ago. On this mission, much of his time was spent in Augusta. He testifies that while standing beside the pillar, a personage approached and stood before him. Twice this manifestation appeared, and so vividly impressed was he that he can to this day minutely describe the person and his garb. His glorious, radiant countenance is one that will bless Elder Fawn's memory forever, he declares. The accompanying cut is an excellent view of the pillar. The picture was taken in November 1918, showing the pillar to be perfectly preserved. It is an object of wonder and curiosity to the people of Augusta in general. To the Latter-day Saints, it is especially significant, for it indicates to them that the three ancient American apostles are engaged in ministering among us as the Savior commissioned them to do centuries ago. Okay, and that's the end of the story. So this was put in the Improvement era, right? I don't know that there was a correlation committee back then. I don't know when the correlation committee started, but once again, I would submit that church publications are not just read by members of the church. They're read by the general authorities as well, and the prophet, the apostles, the first presidency. So I would think that they'd be like, hey, we need to be careful with saying this kind of stuff. I don't think that this would just get into the church magazine, in other words. Okay. So here's that picture. Now I have modern pictures of it, and let's go through this. Now let's look at this from the more worldly point of view. Let's see. The legend of the haunted pillar in Georgia may send chills down your spine. Urban legends are often some of the most fascinating stories illustrating a unique state history. Georgia has its fair share of urban legends, especially those that will send shivers down your spine. Take the haunted pillar in Augusta as the perfect example. This story dates back to the 1800s, and while some people wholeheartedly believe in the ominous pillar's curse, others think it's just a bit of hogwash. Of course they do. Which side do you fall on the Georgia legend? The story of the haunted pillar in Augusta, Georgia, is one that has spanned decades, beginning back in the 1800s. So here it is right here. Okay, and then behind it, this building, this building, it says, haunted pillar, and then it has like a painted banner that says Augusta landmark. According to local folklore, an evangelist came to town and wanted to preach on the corner near the market, but was denied the chance to preach in that location. Now here, let's see what this is. This looks like the pillar after that storm, because you see all this like debris in the background. Of course, it could be after that fire. I don't know. It doesn't really look like there's like fire damage to the structure behind here though. So maybe this was after the storm. You know, you have this barrel of fruit. I mean, the fact that there's a barrel of fruit right there, this would indicate that this was like at the time that the market was in operation. So yeah, this is probably a picture from right after the storm. That's crazy. Okay, after being denied, the preacher declared that a great wind would destroy the town except for the one pillar that stood. But whoever tried to remove the pillar would be cursed or struck dead for touching it. I guess this is just like a generic picture of Augusta. I don't know. Okay. As the legend goes, a freak tornado came through and destroyed the market in its entirety, except for the pillar. The mayor of Augusta, Will Jennings, hired a press agent in 1931 in order to spread the word of the curse and hope to bring more tourism to the area. Here's another view of it. It's right at this like intersection. However, over the years, there were always accounts of highway workers being struck by lightning bolts or freak machinery accidents after trying to move the pillar. Huh. But like what? Like they got struck as they were trying to do it? Because like once you get going, I don't think it would take too much work to bring it down. So it would have to like happen as you're getting ready to bring it down. I don't know. Some visitors to the pillar didn't believe in all the hoopla and would touch it, lean up against it, and even wrap their arms around it. But others would just take a photo from afar, not even daring to let the tourists come anywhere near them, or the curse come anywhere near them. Here's a picture of it at night. I find it interesting that there's no graffiti on it, because being a prominent landmark, graffiti people just can't resist themselves. So I find that interesting. Unfortunately, the pillar is no longer standing today. In December 2016, the pillar was destroyed in a car collision. While some residents breathed a sigh of relief, others still believe that the pillar was not to be messed with in any capacity. And here's a picture of it destroyed. So this happened December 2016. And remember that date? Let me try and find that again. Sorry. Right here, 1916. So The pillar also survived the fury of the Great Fire of 1916. So in 1916, there was a fire there, and then 100 years later, the pillar falls. That's weird. That's weird timing. Now, of course, remember that the storm or whatever was before that, but from the fire until the pillar fell down, or before the pillar was hit by a car accident, was 100 years. Fire to car accident. So that's interesting. Now, there's some more. Okay. Now look at this. This is roadsideamerica.com. The cursed pillar gone. The pillar was destroyed by an out of control car on December 17th, 2016. This happened on the 17th. Okay, just more and more and more. I'm starting to really think that 17 means the end, as in it's over, it's complete. It's also interesting that just a couple weeks later started the new year of 2017, right? Because this is December 17th. And we all know all the different things that happened in 2017. Now, just add this one to the list. Even though it wasn't in 2017, it was just a couple weeks before 2017 started, and it happened on the 17th. And I guess it had to be in 2016 because it had to be 100 years after the fire, maybe. This is just insane. Oh, by the way, with President Nelson, let's see, President Russell Nelson. I'm just going to pull up an article so we have something to look at. There's some people that have pointed out that now that he's 98 years old, okay, now that he's 98, 9 plus 8 equals 17. 17. Right there, 98. I don't know that it means anything, but if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that it just comes up over and over again, especially with him. Now, of course, just by virtue of living a long time, at some point you're going to reach 98. He was 89 at one point, so at 89 that would have been 17 because 8 plus 9. But what will be interesting is if something happens this year, if he passes away, because again, that would be like the completion of his life, or if some other thing happened as he's 98. Remember, we're moving from a Shemitah, okay, which is going to end, I think it was the 25th of this month, September, and we're going to be moving in to, presumably, from what I can tell, a Jubilee. I'm not so sure about that, but there's a bunch of people that think that this next year is going to be a Jubilee. Because after you have 7 weeks of years, so you have like 7 years, you times that by 7, you get to 49. That's what we're in right now, presumably, in the Jubilee cycle. And it's the 50th year that's the Jubilee. Okay, so we're like on week 49 in the week of years for this cycle, this Jubilee cycle. So it's interesting that he's going to be 98 during the Jubilee, which is 17. We'll just have to see what happens. Anyway, going back to the pillar. It may be that curses are proclaimed every day to keep objects where they are. At least 2 have successfully maintained that the status quo for over a century. The obscure hoodoo marker of Maryland and the surprisingly popular cursed pillar of Georgia. The cursed pillar was once part of a downtown Augusta market. According to its accompanying plaque, an evangelist wanted to preach next to the pillar but was forbidden by the authorities. He declared that the market would be destroyed and that the pillar beside him would be the only thing left standing. So he was actually like speaking at that pillar. So that kind of makes more sense why that one was chosen. Here's the plaque right here. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. The pillar certainly looks like it could be cursed. It's cracked and chipped, made of cement-covered brick, stained with age, and stands alone and surprisingly inconspicuous on a busy street corner. Its historical plaque refers to it as a less terrifying haunted pillar and reduces the hellfire curse to a passive prediction. But the plaque is in the highway median, a distance perhaps calculated to be outside its radius of malignancy. Bill doesn't have any of it. Quote, people touch that column every day, he said. They lean against it, wrap their arms around it, climb on top of it. Climb on top of it? Come on. Um, it's just amazing how people react to that column. Bill recalled one visitor to his store who said that they said that he would knock the pillar down. Quote, he goes 2 doors over to the pawn shop and gets him a sledgehammer. Then he goes over there and starts wailing at the column, Bill said. I thought he was kidding at first, but the third time he hit it, I called the police. My gosh, seriously. End quote. That unchallenged attack would suggest that the cursed pillar's vengeful mojo is finally spent. We prefer to believe that its capacity for retribution is endless, and that the horrible fate of its assailant was simply not swift enough for Bill to notice. Quote, the police drove up, and the guy's still knocking on the column. So they arrested him, and then they come over here and gave me the dang sledgehammer. Interesting stuff. But the day that it was destroyed, December 17th, 2016, 100 years after that devastating fire, and just a few weeks before 2017 starts. Fascinating. Okay, now this is the story, and if you want to watch the video, I'll put this in the description below. This is the video from WJBF, which is like local news there, ABC, Channel 6. But let's read the story here. Haunted pillar of Augusta destroyed by car accident. Saturday night, 2 cars were involved in an accident, causing one of the cars to smash through the haunted pillar. The landmark is said to be haunted, and that anyone who removes it will be struck dead by lightning between 5th and Broad Street after a wreck destroyed it. Since the 1940s, Augusta's famous haunted pillar has attracted a lot of attention, but in this case, the haunted pillar actually saved lives. Corey Tyler and the woman in the other car are both okay, but Corey says this will haunt him forever. Quote, well, it's said that the pillar was haunted and this and that, and no, they are trying to tear it down, but you know, the pillar actually saved our life last night, because if it wasn't for the pillar, we would have ran into the building last night. Corey Tyler, the victim, said, which, I mean, I don't know. I guess like if his car was going like really fast, then maybe the pillar would have like decelerated the car. Although the pillar itself is a pretty solid object, but maybe like when the car hit it, it like took the impact and it broke pretty easily. So you know, in other words, instead of being like a really really strong pillar, which would have killed him if he would have ran into it, if it wouldn't have crumbled, then maybe, I guess. I'll take his word for it. Whatever, he was there. And then he continues, that's something that me and her can remember for a lifetime. We have kids. We can tell them that we knocked down a statue that was haunted. They end up saving both of us last night, he added. Well, yeah, at least there's that. Tyler came back Sunday morning to make sure he didn't leave anything behind, but all that was left were pieces that couldn't be fixed. Quote, we both destroyed each other's car, but she was like, your truck was so pretty. And this and that. And I was like, man, I'm glad that me and you both here, that was just materialistic. I can get another car, but we walked away in good hands. You don't have nothing but one life, you know, so you have to cherish it. All right, so here's the video if you want to watch that. I thought we'd look at some of the pictures, of it. So here it is, you know, after the crash. And I don't know what this is. There's like some kind of like pole right there. I don't know. It's weird. Here it is with it completely gone. Here's what it looked like on the inside, like kind of like a close-up look. It was just like these rounded bricks, and then held together with like a layer of cement. Here's that storefront. Here it is intact. And again, I can't believe that there isn't any, like, there isn't any graffiti or anything, because it's not like it's like protected by like a fence or anything like that. It's just like open to anybody walking by, you know. Here it is there. Streets are wet. So I guess there's, maybe that's part of what caused the crash, maybe a little bit, like if the streets were slick. Here's the car, the actual car that hit it. Another view. Anyway, isn't that just crazy? This pillar, and yeah, I don't doubt that it was one of the three Nephites, right? How could that guy have predicted that would be the only pillar that would remain? And it seems like this is pretty well documented. You know, like this actually happened. There was an evangelist, and he really did say what he really did say, these things, and then it's what happened with the exact pillar that he said would be the one that's left standing. What does this say up here? Oh, tattoos. So this is like a tattoo place back here. Tattoo. Okay. Here it is in Google Earth, Google Maps Street View. When you're on this side of the street, you can still see it because this is from July 2016, so just a few months before it was destroyed. But then if you like move around, then it has more updated images. But when you're here, you can see it. And I looked around. I just wanted to see if there was anything that kind of like stood out, and no, not really. Kind of looks like a not so great part of town. Looks like these are downtown buildings over here. I don't know what this is. It's like a baseball team or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't look like there's anything really special other than the fact that it's kind of in a prominent location near downtown, or well, in downtown Augusta, Georgia. Yeah, I think that's all I have for this one. So there you go. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that it was the three Nephites or John? Have you heard this story before? Are you from Georgia? Have you been to this monument? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and then consider signing up for members only, where we go over additional topics, including toxic personalities and secret combinations, and I'll talk to you guys later.